development action must occur at ACCI Crescent 24. This is minerals of Alex, future include offshore minerals and contain massive solid level CCL, minerals of Washington, data limited, as with the US on the US on the Japanese losing sovereign to US and the acting CCI, flavors and shrimp population, human velocity, fisheries on the shore, ACCI, with having minerals available, geomorphology, proxy, to return to light the bomb, sulfite shore balls, sparking food security, day 2. Reproduction shore sulfur prices of competition outputs, the production increase the cost of food production, more expensive than countries to ignite every hotspot outweighs Krypton feed. Research of exchange food shortages is exception to the nuclear conflict crisis in short China, population including Siberia, Russia, and precipitate, the response of the Middle East of soft involved are sparked on arms race, including involving Israel, Saudi, and these countries, primers of the extinction. Otherwise, ultimately, DSM causes irreversible damage to deep sea habitats, disrupt fish stocks, and causes marine biodiversity collapse, national fire. But regulation of negotiations of years of corporation, but I say, and so all the organizations living knowledge being desired, and the impacts of current regulation, not in substitute, illusions, like in creative, and hard actions of the organization, and science, basically, the by many approach, and incorporating ability, material damage, damage of everybody, but also the some high level solution, capital knowledge, and behaviors, and lack of is a very effective fishing activities, the job fishery stocks, and concerning from DSM effective security to design, not to your member, series, and moving delays, it means that like to bring their concerns, forcefully, we're Russia regulation, and some never since outside, usually use it, but this is a state contracts and corporation, which is obtained all sponsored from the state party, equals the legitimate DSM, the union sponsoring state by responsibility, ocean collapse, essential structure report. Other oceans get survival by the adaptation against actions made by marine biodiversity, by the infection of the fossil, the blood of the ocean stabilizes the system of welfare, and the blue system storing our capacity and terrestrial restoring our sustainable future for fish was with nuclear. 316. It was proven that fish was which are burns, superburns, liable, and mobile, chemical, bionuclear weapons of war, escalated new abilities, entire resources, exploration efforts are prerequisite to solidify our emerging ice regulations, keep it 2025. Introducing the development of the representatives and see by the very appropriate ice regulations, and Congress and the funding agencies, and exploration is elevating environmental base and the environment by sea by money staples, cover safeguards for variety of permits of the activities, the RTC governance of data, non-existing, escalating territory abuse, with dollar or walker to be. Revisions in the RT regulations, the government expectation of the DSM and RT organization, increasing the demand of climate change and melting ice, giving rise to the growing interest in RTC, level 9 on the marine environment, also early seven decisions, the exploration, and understanding the common of the DSM and the RTC status of the US and non-state party laws, as like the government regarding RT, organization with the GMR, so another guys have created increase in digital language from the RT Russian planning or the flag of the Middle and to further the RT states for RT relations here as RT states rights over to you was RT read about the agricultural looking regard the protection of RT yourself as organized RT government patch of every organization AC non-legal personality legal obligation follow upon RT states and individual regulation of the area to the international regional levels and the obligation of having an area of some new classes and challenges level knowledge based on natural knowledge of the seabed and argue the regulation of the future DSM activity can be based on sciences the ICA regulated mismatch prevents effective methane or regulation very good confidence would be. Issues in the original today area which has been reaching public problems expectation of the national laws have trying to impact the important that would legal action was up until the ICA for model that not parties to the gas engine isn't all the huge amount of methane and huge quantities of some so low the stable and across the argument on another kind of meaning the argument across the seven ways fast plays the methane and legal consequences like that and the hydrogen generalized as one hydrogen systems of sea flushing so on extension compression claims of release of methane auxiliary climate change hydrogen and necessitated legal clarification exploitation and significant harm in the marine environment. That is not controversial with methane excavation has by greenhouse effect of methane hydroblast and inevitable essential only CSM solved like 12. Methane hydrolysis facilities was in warming the ability to large blood over leaders and characters and stage of the lowest and the sentence of the decision can prevent the escalating for the reduce separate fluid releases of action methane from hydrocarbon deceleration from depressurized and control methane, especially the entire RT methane blow out that sparks and incidentally warning subverting the adaptation for 19. It is more potent messengers of methane and water, of course, nice and see better functionally senses to release them capable of driving at temperature over 10 degrees, which is not rapidly release them and have a little mass release of the ocean for the years ago. PTP might be on the species of present methane and the ocean to control the plants and the ocean ability to release capture of rivers in the biosphere. The methane release non kind of carbon reduction finally disability is food production wars where reality never down we will release much better than fire when there's nothing of human food to stop and ship the planet to a hot house or human survival comes to the question. Natural disasters and almost fly standard 18. Students that the release of the resilience they recover human system military just in driving over capacities the marriage like crushing pressure around the states multiple guns and insurance including energy passes and home article failures against the rapidly reduction carrying capacity significantly clear evidence natural surveillance squad using AUVs provide certainty to extend data for option 24. materials required in the exploration and development of the possibly global demand for explore deep ocean environments, enable the detailed exploration, execution of good cooperation, mental conflicts, space and travel, terms of like the operation of contemplate, and acquisition, make operational decisions, adjust the challenges, the integration of modern technology, and hand efficiency of the deep exploration, exciting customer international legal obligation, and the laws you mentioned, the United States federal government should significantly increase exploration on the Arctic deep sea bed. Second, the administration of ocean governance in terms of executive order, the application of DSM, otherwise ISA that reverses the U.S. Customs and Inherence to LOC, and ocean governance in terms of corporate investment. Well, it's violence. The government states that they have the government U.S. Senator Obama, purchasing the area for LLC, pursuant to the mention of LLC, and ISA, and controversy, the MT, U.S. submitted for application annually, determining what year the U.S. government accessible to the U.S. LLC, adopt the judgment on the law, caution in keeping with LLC, the terms of order upon here, distinction for the president, objections to the LLC, proposal on like different U.S. government sees all of the exile constitution, expected amendment, the United States revenue for rental the guidance on the concept of the company, actually go through with the weapon of the liberal relations, make the same U.S. licensing grant of the operation holiday to states or the higher responsibility of the rest of states and gives the right to the regime running for the LLC and these social governments tax and social security and environmental risk thing to do. No, then there's a dozen on the never been cooperative or single move state lobbies and for escalation type A, so Sean climate change, economic cases on the threat, president, which is spreading through terrorism, fishing stocks, including acidification, the rise only possible with collective approach to comes to the state, nation seeking to reshape the states, and we're taking legal claims to the common U.S. application of CIO, but no stats for presumption of the other action and resource, U.S. technical expertise in ISA, the Carbon 25. Experts for the 30 years, those are really interested in ISA, but other technical expertise in the ISA, regulatory framework, yes, we're only for the U.S. because that the government's common legal action events, institutions, and sanctions, legislation governance, the government committees working together, never bust the regular review, no action based on the money governance, regulatory process, the ISA, legal commitment, and the United countries involved in those acquisition, economic, technical expertise, such on a unality, SIP the zone card extinction, process 16. Then you go to the university, the order, the state of place, argument, CIO, coalition, building, passengers, state residents, the local problems, including the terrorist bombing, the WMD, the global solution, tech advance, and regulation, drug slander, the aid is a challenge in law, appeals of bylaws, raise the rights, and the criminals bring up the action while hardened to the CIO, cosmetic, inshallah, law, and form, and concentrated plans, that's the view class, and CIO, corporation, force of this over expression outcomes, perception, and action while maximizing turning goes well. Remember the laws of the company, when you over the origin of the invention of expression, country management, the man, the convention president for all four, the foreign partners, the Canadian, the Canadian, Japan, the British, Italian, German, and Python license, and license, and Hertz Group, Oxford, 78. Section that you see by Mayor and next to the first operational USA, you divide into lines, the thing, Bellarmine ranks, the runs and now the variation, the close and middle positive, against the minor side, every let's do a challenge.
Good for top 6.
Second. Yeah.
Awesome. First advantage, Koskas is its sulfide deposits would be one of the primary minerals mined with deep sea mining, but existing mines in Indonesia and Japan are already extracting massive amounts of sulfide. Why do we need to use a whole new mining method and billions of dollars of capital investment when existing methods already output sulfide?
Well, one, our evidence says that sulfide deposits are currently running out. Two is that we think that these deposits exist in Alaska and can be very essential for food insecurity, for solving it, because
You said sulfides are running out. What's the one behind that?
Sure.
Is that Kraska or which other one?
The day card says that a rapid reduction in sulfuric acid, sulfur overall is like causing prices to rise. So in competition, we think that existing deposits within Alaska would be able to solve for that because we have sulfide there.
Kraska then goes on to say that the potential for seabed mining throughout the arc of the Aleutians. Do you survey and mine there?
Sorry.
Kraska says that there is, quote, potential for seabed minerals throughout the arc of the Aleutians. Do you survey and mine there?
We only explore, but yes, we explore the Aleutians.
Or you explore the Aleutians. Keating is also talking about ISA regulations. What is ISA?
What is the ISA?
Yeah.
It's the International Seabed Authority. It's part of the UNCLOS. It basically creates the regulations for how countries can use their 200-mile EEZ.
The U.S. is not a party to UNCLOS in this scrub, so would adopting deep sea mining according to like ISA
The
authority?
U.S. has always adhered to UNCLOS. Trump's executive order has knocked that out of balance. The plan would re-clarify it so it adheres to UNCLOS once again.
Later in the first advantage, Machi says that unregulated DSM caused environmental damage. Can you name a single company that is trying to seabed mine in the scrub?
TMC, USA, multiple companies.
What piece of evidence does everyone see?
Willard.
Miller? Oh, Willard. Why is the ISA key? Why can't the EPA just regulate?
The ISA has always been the national or the international regulator of the international seabed. It has always established the regulations. Regulations have worked in the past. We think that the ISA has been only existing like.
The EPA can unilaterally set regulations within the United States' 200-mile exclusive economic zone. So why can't the EPA just regulate that without any ISA?
That's what we're saying, that's what Trump wants to do, but the entire second advantage is about how UNCLOS and unilateral action would be perceived as a reason why.
Alright, let's move on to this UNCLOS stuff itself. The second advantage, they this claim that UNCLOS regs have been under negotiation for years. Why would one application of customary international law somehow align all of the United States to UNCLOS?
Sure. So a bunch of countries are currently trying to mine within these regions. The Rhodes card talks about Canada, Japan, British, Belgian, Italian interests.
Have any of them mined already? No.
Okay, so it's like the two are not easy, but they're trying to mine behind the time provides expiration date.
When is the incentive cost?
Yeah.
Aaron, did you just sign?
Because my phone's a time after my phone.
Alright, sounds good.
Alright, it will be 7. Advantage 1 of REMs, advantage 2 of governments.
712.
Yep.
I just got it.
Alright, everyone good?
Okay,
Give me a second.
Alright.
T Arctic, the Arctic is above the 60 pair flying, young 5. The Arctic requires different geopolitical conventions and Kennedy Arctic is reasonable above the 60 and violation of planet mining the Gulf of Alaska that's below the 60 pair of the blue line, monthly cross the conventional shelf containing massive ECS minerals. Both negative limits of action outside the Arctic is untenable and infinite. Putin's ability to Putin's regime is stable now on the brink. Submark 25, the service regime is stable, but the possibility of resistance is financial, but all Putin's fragile, and anyone which of March or mob storming our border new, the best of the political ambulance police and action government on the brink of lab structures, out of control routines by the vice of the regime. U.S. leadership costs stands now, the Arctic that costs the regime, Albert 21. Moscow is these Arctic national legitimate, they propaganda instructions, celebrating the regime, the type of local military, all the what's the Arctic, the counter awakening, the best of the world, the base of general pressure, action of Arctic, bolster its force, to state power, shall lead Russian with the other western narrative, Arctic statement, system power to arrive, Russia base central, regime instability goes nuclear, Yap 25. Putin's power maintained through the inner circle of concentration, but concentrated with the transition, just speak on the support side of lack of sufficient civil government, Russia, unstable Russia, unstable transfer, international communication, global markets, elections, interest, security, and both separate movement to China, given Russian nuclear arsenal, any instability contributing to the crisis, with global effects in Eastern Europe and such rates at K, capitalism, K, Arctic development, exploration, reifies capitalism and costs extent to resource, CDK 24, development of capitalism, climate development, legal capitalism, accumulation, destruction, impact capitalism, search, supply chain, run knows, economic conversations, critical minerals, by global solving, sharply, China producing of rare earth, capitalism, China, serenity, appears, war to play out, new changes, possibilities, artificial, artificial, massive drives existential climate change, priority 25, slow down or die, or geopolitical, the one of studies conclude absolute reduction cannot be achieved only time for carbon dioxide, import, decouple, separate parts of the structure of raw materials, even 12 the concept acceleration of materials, and think of how you 6% countries reality, industrial activities, the developing country balance, encourage deforestation and return reduce to change ecological prices of energy ratio between environment and energy nativity, such after following ERO, find growth with lower energy, the harder green activity, efficiency, device, rebound, solar tech, improvement results, and anticipation, German paradox, and total subject, both neg for planet economy, near 20. Technological planning, efficient allocation, access to the market, with bureaucracy, big data, AI, rapid dispatching, informal new to provide static investment capital, these projects, integration, production, planning, agency, name, material function, and services, and info, close and real-time coordination, process for the development objectives, inventory, social services, via programming, company, mass management, inputs, similar to supply chain, energy, communicators, sector, investment accounts, design destination of new tech, shutdown, be a cross-down negotiations happening now. Lerman 9819, shutdown, Senate, shutdown, short term, funny, Senate leaders, again, theater, must go to the one, mother lapses, not you, didn't help, the rest, mothers, responsibility, in the first place of the new city, possibly consider reserved right to call back members, back to feasible versions of the sense, and have those who can reach a part person, we own the negotiation, we're told report is going to encounter itself, time negotiation, some of these, 5% talk to and said, Arctic is politically insalient, it does passage, Nicholas Cole, 20 25. We have two senators and one congressman article relating to 100 other Congress has other priorities for hard use and construction of the best of the U.S. behind you can scan convince senators. Arkansas and North Dakota are continuing our priorities. Shutdown and Hampshire's military, Walker 24. Military defense and considered budget to carry out planning and new legislation. Congress has supported the most important thing to ensure national security and maintenance and China, Russia, and expanding to avoid destruction of the program, delay, nuclear matter, and different maintenance, and airport, the forces, and the limited operating, and budget tensions, and good luck to happen, and ability to stay out of the water, just one of your efforts. So the R&D, cutting edge, AI, hypersonic, for cybersecurity, middle information, strict action, crucial to deterrence, encourage efforts to test resolve aggressive action that causes global war. Progressive 25. The nuclear military competition wars always the new preparation for the investment competition company with coming human investment the most dominating company zero sum direction company used to contain and offer to really great power structure and Germany revision foundation imperatives Washington needs to happen of peace defense security China Russia metro or predictions as the power increases or example but exactly what China will do 88 well with all the dying US but these departments 8 cyber space system with ships on and ICBM military connected live we can shop so we can check the military system features the assets she order military ready to what's of Taiwan Russia and something has by force of match or invasions of Georgia Ukraine the advantage counterplan the access for the government to place a moratorium on the exploration of the moment north of the 66 parallel enacted a covert nuclear no versus policy of the United States federal judiciary to the development or and exploration of the articles that customary international legal obligation under the law of the Sea Convention mandate increase the exploration of minerals and the Arctic deep seabed. The filibusters unconstitutional and the government will uphold customary international legal obligations and all the court solve and avoid politics per 12 for judicial strategic principle which for protection of the legislative process. Now to privatization counterplan, the United States federal government should solicit bills to increase the exploration of minerals and the Arctic deep seabed and about the customary international laws, private partnership. The counterplan solves the case. Stephen 17, allocating server critical use artificial revenue, which is some regulations collected from institutional private barriers to matter systems, profitability payments made to government as long as service payments eliminate firm which volatility previously deliver higher quality that shores up civil military relations. Penguins 25, immersion industry, defensive British capital, industry, military, industry, responsible defense governance, importance of relationship between industry and military, rights of being some knowledge, defense planning, should be able to expand unexpected crises and requires institute to be curbs nuclear war. After 25, weeks of legal control, selected little concrete, the Belgians, officer, activator, and half office war, policy, military, ethic, reverse of bill, opponents, violence, and normal being encouraged offensive words, but nuclear use of funding, peaceful contention, dissatisfaction, the use of force of more favorable in prevention, negotiated, nuclear, with civilian control, conflict, level of nation, independent, and civilian control of the military. Advantage 1. Trump and allies solved reliance already. Naming 25. The U.S. law is going to reduce reliance on the REM's facility being built in Brazil. Advice to security risks to the U.S. to diversify research of Brazil, also world's law, reserve something for world war, some Trump and support, domestic border, Trump, RE magnets, no food wars and war turns to security, person 24. Global common causing food crisis, evidence to the high possibility that the presidency will be an ideological moral political solving the company wisdom and not sufficient in nation cover other countries rarely. 3. Ocean resilient. Matter 21. Marine conservation around global team good results. Whale population growing. The fisheries are healthy. Good evidence sustainable management being achieved. The Texas training and the fishery reinforcement vessels. Growing family has reestablished spatial population, civility, and restriction be land. We actually restore the whole drop dramatically. So, carbon that's very significant economy offshore winning rapidly, clean energy, global skimming, competition, carbon neutral, global science, compensation, crop of the rock. 4. Fish wars are high. Peninsula 18. Claims that fish will related is given the escalate to normal sovereignty, then put a magic scenario of fish escalate. 5. The text of warming, no reason why regulatory dismatch over DSM and nuclear melts ice and not international carbon emissions. 6. Natural disasters are favorably from California wildfires, Eugenie landslide, and Hurricane Helene, although this really goes nuclear, and no evidence says that the U.S. action spills over globally. 7. And response already got it. And all 16 finance and insufficient to make it base like capabilities. All have scored 5 little 10 key and expansion are disability with a permanent gap is 36 instability researchers on some responder and city foundation. 8. US is not dependent on China for REs. You 23 many countries that are RE supply chains dependent from China, for America, Europe, Africa, South Asia, Africa, business per year can meet the increase demand. 9. Deep sea mining fails coming 24. Cost of mining get greater than marginal gains. Analysis involving singular knowledge to the abstract logic of looking at transparent first exploration and loss of 10 million per year services from sustainability, secondly, metal grades, prices are volatile to the harvest little can be productive, so total exceeding time, you know, the expensive and time consuming some vessels, supposed operations of transportation through research are lifted, material must be prepared for transport of our game, extraction, some cost render, extraction probability, expensive requiring the operator to make a decision based on market expected to be running revenues, and this is determined master failed, these may validate concern. 10. There aren't enough REMs, M20. Growth of generating military and that can EV transnational the economy has a limited with production just 3 years, the EV transfer higher amounts of foreign reserves that leads global research manipulation take place in a high recycling rates, about 50 corroborates other studies by 2042, actual bottoms even earlier. 11. Disaster climbing and not linked to warming. Burn 12. 21. Climate bears little blame in columns today indicates a low increasing number of severity disaster waterfronts and climate damage disasters. So the data here clear IPCC sort of low and low competence attribution depends on the ultimate cost of the united study. Both efforts contributes higher loss of studies and demonstrated one leading disasters to the climate. 12. They don't solve methane. There's all causes determined in method 21. Methane more potent greenhouse gas fraction than the regulated introduced methane concentration increasing trace to increased oil and gas production. Advantage 2. When no global governance impact and no maritime seas already shot about 22. The answers to the global assumption global governance media puts a professional reason for counter strong orders or reliance on wage security competition private sector traditional emergence by putting glass only as a common for being able none of the replacement types to do more international keeping rivals and bringing everything in order building wisdom for was power politically friendly with competitive countries satisfied company and environmentally build strong communities to Seattle spawn have making 20 Seattle is also the prize opportunity innovation other companies Seattle as a corporate board the process of Seattle is connected data is considered viable operating frame material company which are clarity uncertainty lacks mechanism regularly particular position to be binding U.S. international law deals. Number 23 U.S. law party the partner treaty laws protocols of the name of the close administration by that connection rights of the child who rights the person that makes it difficult for U.S. hold states accountable. I put the last part accountable.
Open?
Yeah.
Alright. The cap kit, the alt, what does it do?
The alt is a planned economy. Our evidence outlines it would do multiple things. It would establish, for example, investment councils where funding goes to different new technologies. It would also make everything a lot more centralized. The government will play a bigger role in the economy. These new technologies, how do they solve for me? Well, currently our CDP, yeah. So our Peru card, the second card in the CAPK outlines how the current technologies are all profit driven. Everyone has incentive to pollute. The planned economy would direct the investment towards social and environmentally friendly.
Would the alt still mine?
Would the alt still mine, Andres?
No.
No.
No? Okay, cool. The link, it's about capitalism going to foreign countries for minerals. I'm confused. Why is this the app?
No. The link is about
It's
Arctic
saying why
extraction.
going to foreign
It
countries
literally
for
says,
minerals is
quote,
bad.
China is the leading producer of rare earth. It talks about extraction of minerals in the Arctic specifically.
Okay, why is taking the mineral dominance from China bad?
Why is it bad? Our evidence says that it's capitalist. If you do all this mining in the Arctic for the sake of
So
this
just
profit
taking
motive.
away dominance is capitalist. Cool.
It's about the development and exploration of
What is PVP?
PDP. It's a public-private partnership.
Sure, okay. And what would the counterplan do?
What would the counterplan do? The U.S. would basically contract these different private companies, and from there,
Every single U.S. bill contracts a private company to do it, i.e. that's why we have Lockheed, that's why we have Raytheon. I'm confused. Why isn't this like?
No, that's not
Because we create a special, private public entities are unique in that they're not like the normal contract process. There's special contract where it's an agreement that the government and a private company join together and actually collaborate rather than just getting a private company to do something
Okay,
like
that
that.
makes sense. Status?
conditional.
So the advantage counterplan, you place a moratorium on exploration and mining. Who does that?
The USFG, the US would ban a moratorium, or it would place a moratorium on exploration and development above the norm.
Okay, and then the judiciary then revitalizes it.
The judiciary, yeah, that's a different link of the count.
How does the judiciary cite international law?
How does the judiciary cite international law?
Correct.
Well, anytime there's a violation of international law, the judiciary will say, hey, that violates international law, you cannot be doing that, upholds it in all instances,
Yeah, but
revitalizes it.
under what standing do they do it? Because we custom.
Under-
It's under the verdict that they type out, the reasoning for ruling the case. Where you
what case?
Under-
What case under CIL doesn't have a legal document? What case?
What do you mean,
We feel that the
what-
judges either rule from the bench or just use a test case to rule using
Any
CIL.
reasons to reject the team besides Steve?
No.
Okay. The Bikini card, it's from 2020. I'm confused. How does it still apply? Our cards talk about how CIL has been recently revitalized.
Wait, which card? The bikini card? Our bikini card talks, we read two cards saying that CL empirically, field, and structurally has problems of implementation, which is the second card and third.
Take your question. 8 minutes. Say it first.
I'm like, just got a new computer, so I'm figuring it out, sorry.
Oh, so.
Okay, so, sorry about that. You guys good for a moment?
Yeah.
Very good. Advantage 1, Guardians. Advantage 2, Governance. T, Arctic. E, Itake. Advantage current plan. E, PvP kind of plan. Shutdown. Politics.
Wait, shut down Russian politics.
Yeah, Russian politics. Sorry.
Let me download the tweets.
Yeah.
Alright.
Good. Ryan,
When you see reliance is not a scenario, when you see two churches go to nuclear regional internal pressure spark the lift, so escalation that's created the Peninsula status quo description. It's not talking about how the internal pressure snowball. Third is status quo description, and third and fourth are status quo description because about oceans now, but ocean collapse destroys water cycling, water receiving carbon sink that uniquely exacerbate warming food sailors with escalating into militarization as the sergeant evidence that the warming impact. It's not about international solvency, but it's not about international solvency, but about methane release, which was later dropped the fish wars exterior drawing escalated nuclear biochemical warfare that only had uniqueness, which we answered above that also concede 1 C6 and some there's no impacts of methane and 1 C8 is not a scenario. DSM Hill is also wrong. If your screwed UAVs reach the Mariana Trench, GMT apply for a permanent outcome causality are determined because REMs are going to be sitting on the C4 and obviously sitting on the C4 and yes, disasters impact yes, methane impact absent DSM operation are methane hydrogen release massive carbon bumps through dehydration sparking fast and existential warming tend to reduce GHG's national disaster producing nuclear war that's light and crib and governance. 1 and C1, yes, marine stability loss and average international infrastructure habitats may climate terrorism and civilization. Also to solve that seeing evidence like the evidence is about history, not about the 2025 unique hotspots that bring through DSM interest in CL, 1 and C2 and 3 you can group them CL, perhaps every 1 and C2 and 3 you can group them CL, perhaps every exercise that needs this as an arsenal suffering. And nuclear warfare is an everlasting required response that's true dog means you try or die to guard wrong. I will solve the first specificities about human rights and never says that we violate, and then the evidence is on assuming it appears for 30 years now. T. We meet a function we don't explore the goal of Alaska only has many means that's replaced by the PGC, B inserted 1 C cross. Contextually, they would have change with the axis most objective methods. And RT is defined by AMI. While the RT super did below New Canada, Grand Sea, North Atlantic USA Army Corps introduced the 12th AMI for John RT areas, North RT zero modified inclusion, so that Hudson River, North Atlantic preferred position. RT federal waters and waters on top of the US about US section within interface. Waterways that definitely only impossible the Gulf of Alaska for warmer waters with 30 degrees in Gulf of Alaska solves their office functional limits. This process determines Alaska policy solve reusability, African quantity is happening. With the 1 AC against an alternate anti-gas non-decision nuclear furnace clash, and no can turn plan only explores not mine, for the both leader or comes to link to plan or can or comes to task, for the plan all in all those is a sustainable use by science between no conflict, exertion, and causation must increase regardless of using too much fossil might be lost use as the carbon only done that. There's a problem around question before the future policy confirmation. I know some of the not really more per capita out of the trigger just on the same missionary people going the growth of TRP can have passed the public sufficient might people not be able to already say something. Research and sources of the incoherent recycled voice around intended outskirts substitute growth is good, a plan planet spider for spinning G global shutdown B. Climate global warming to solve the environment for recency. Verse 124, the trade diffuse environmental technique and reduce application and reduce renewables of operations. Stability to promise renewable addition and only reduce emission contribution results much and more initial emission focus. Most recent data showed government seeking better one nation foreign country improved. In the last 10 years, older years also people have new countries that sources of alternative energy and demands a better environmental rights with the consumers value and positive emission develop the economy to all this way. Then the device continue growth cycle, contribute to decline prices improve, which is rapidly producing rapidly producing globally. All fields go to seed innovation and service seed exploration, or they don't, or they do solve things that utility field. But just moving to one insane field has to be in the state crack, due to the seed bass by no domestic or international modeling costs. The condition of the process of the regime require initiating combination of modeling costs, solely global independence of the decrease and acquiring countries, whole countries downset, no rebounds, consumption elsewhere, and central pending fails. So 25 the pending country feasible price diverge from the broadly minimum market price set arbitrary based on artificial competition for tennis. No real profits benefit line. No guesses on balance, half production on no profits and advantage term. Perfect goes from planning and combination of planks and bench terms and voting sheet kills after. Is the rolling one is solved upon punish use after characters also an argument or response to teachers always saying out supports question. Kill fairness is clause can't give a straight turn. And the judiciary fails because it can't issue Seattle statements because there's literally no case about Seattle and banning it fails if they ban it. I say it's legitimate in the international Seattle industry. Draft is only the US appeals other countries away. For I say which are being crafted now. Many RTC, AMF, and permafrost lives. Venture traffic left exported less than 10 that was drawn above and diesel time. Decomposition TV to binding Steve research. Ultimately release of the skill toxic that decomposition or release of hydrogen sulfide. The guys series you want to shows causing infraction. They do not have a claim that says that they mine below the Arctic, which means there's no they do not have access to any mining net benefit. And if you pressure turns with nuclear coal, since the end of you on wise nuclear wars safely the war would be to rescue the safely which conventional wars were as they don't remove one range of power unless like a nuclear conventional war and energy damage to the reputation privatization. Permanently counter benevolence or PPPs in the capital mandates, federal development, DOA 14, federal IoT action meetings, and universal component of application, the action responsibility is related to a sovereign option action on. Original Mary 125 is relating to a sovereign option action. If playing one best plan, do plan to prefer the green light, if the devolution maxes that are particularly stable, everyone is in the power line fails makes sense that private companies aren't able to overturn Exos or adhere to CIL and the Fed integration cooperation system framework developed. According to investment Cornell, if I can move forward with ocean ties technology, just in the Federation to protect the development policy that raise generation cooperation according to investment is necessary to conduct. So we're illustrations are HSG, cooperation, and pen and devolve equilibrium private sector solves internal leaks of policy systems, PPC, and excessive spending per to both and no internal no delivery artificial and resolve structuration with CMR unique PPC exists not shutdown. Yeah, sure. Case of waste also keep international industry for reduce internal every impact and every other African practice general office passage possible criminals to transfer partisan by President Bolton 919 that reduce our levels which are including pressure times for house passed when reverted no interest me consumer to last minute finding consumer probably moving from to refuse negotiator leaders on how to return after funding deadline expires again or when we continue restitution sugar shut no plans to vaccine return lost money soothing false lobbyists and using money to give her 25 reported some estimated issues of 4,000 job movies and so China including the development of ocean support anticipating for power competition Congress already property interest in deep sea mining with action to use the federal agency with large offshore mapping operation or unless the political actors outdated in the Trump's bypass efforts. 97 there are problems for DC, but Trump's reviewers discovered when the South facility magically busy move on the spectrum with the energy drivers to support his own measure of populace super emotions, so both lines both blocks after the part of products covered and a different and reflecting the cycle of magic buried. There's no undertaken propagation by pressure to travel loyal to Trump's pressure scooting and past Shutdown thumb and Trump destroyed Brand News report to say acknowledge the collaborating to the one example part of one to see Walker's started a bad that's what's passing and Russian politics. His ways oceanic collapse codes Russian economy makes believe public support and plus no AU exploration commercialized support. Basically US easy and thumb US company deployed AUVs a few weeks ago to Oxford and Russia can't use our to survive national news at launching when they were Russian public denied there's no Russian article mythology public apology to much of my ever from Russian American decades. Attempts to show these are never to the page of Mr. Turn to show how the US will come over you plus compliance time with clarifies Putin's drilling a part time Ukraine during the Putin's Columbia for China's during the leadership transition called so 90 British after being saculated at top of the agency show doing on how to second 13 years Putin is only being replaced with nuclear lawyers the container returning with the prime control theater as emerged in no instructed not through my next side and safe onto the wars which is sent over by Virgin Defense for our most years becoming a fresh professor they discovered the graphs and clears of Russian legal information from loving your part ever in this great release Russian legal devices on one small institution of the young ambition taking place traction of warrior class created literary anxiety since a single the other Russian Russia turning perfectly will be war between the Putin himself destructure Putin's the political military bashing war 24 Russian program for years election waiting in favor of Putin the true Putin with unchecked power institutional order and authoritarian power Putin regime claims essentially maintaining social order institutions and permanently pushes like others over in the West new more resilient predicted political security for the war negotiating reshuffling had the card reshuffling and Putin would compensate with more raise and taxes at 121 the version of the social conflict would reach more fitting the article one moves the vertical position tax upon the graze and actually go back up to Shutdown. And no ready to impact other factors check with 6 when our losses focus on road state levels to refer on the issue steps in or no code new. Three major military aggression requirement containment. Do not require the US main power source for any time will build this sanction diplomatic for is gone. And Germany is dead. Sure to Germany uniforms and out effective overall 50 hands so these are their convey for position next of the China. First of the boost country not new technology for Soviet Union not place but not time. That card.
You're good for cross-six.
Okay.
I want to go to the cap cake. Can you explain your grass stamp card? Explain what the warrants are for it solving climate change.
Yeah, so Shutdown has a couple of warrants. The first one is about free trade and how it promotes innovation through green technology, and talks about statistics in Africa and Asia and how they decarbonize. It
So
also
like a
talks
lot
about-
of countries across the globe are already decarbonizing per your evidence.
It cites 124 out of the 180 countries that have improved, and then also says how tech is creating the structure and the ability to improve in the future. There's also other warrants.
Okay, so if the status quo is solving climate change, why does that not non-unique all of your warming impacts?
The warming impact is about Arctic DSM, so it's about how methane hydrates would collapse absent alleviation of that pressure, which creates fast warming, not the gradual ones that your impact is about.
That creates fast warming.
Correct.
Countries around the globe, per your studies, have already
Yeah, so
completely
there's
climate
a
change.
disconnect here, right? So this is about slow warming caused by fossil fuels. The 1AC impact scenario is about Arctic methane.
It's about Arctic methane.
It's about methane that's underground.
Okay,
It's
methane,
not-
80% of all methane comes from cows. How do you solve all of that?
Okay.
Where does your evidence make a normative claim that the Arctic is where most methane
Once again,
comes
there's a disconnect. So the 80% that you talk about is about the current methane that's in the atmosphere and being produced. We're saying that this is below the seabed, and they're going to burst absent any of the
Okay.
plants alleviation of pressure via mining.
from? Okay.
What level was Condo on?
Condo was on the advantage count.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
How much time do you have in that instance?
126.
126. All right, sounds good. Let's go to the politics data. You read a piece of link turn evidence saying that deep sea mining is popular. This evidence talks about, quote, shipyards in the Gulf Coast, Hawaii, Pacific. Where does this talk about the Arctic?
It talks about how like the industry for like demand would create, like all these REMs would create new jobs within those.
Where does it talk about the Arctic?
Why? It says deep sea mining.
It says
It's
deep sea mining. In the one in C, we read a link about the Arctic. How does that ever respond to that?
It says that this would overcome that link.
Where does it say this is so popular it will overcome backlash over the Arctic?
I mean, like it doesn't, like Gilbert doesn't cite your author like line
Okay,
by
it
line.
doesn't-
It just says that it's popular, which would
Alright.
overcome that.
On advantage counterplan, just want to make sure reasons to reject the team, international fiat, the advantage counterplans are voter, condo. What else is there?
I think that's it.
What is that on the cockpit? Did you read into it?
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, they were-
utopian fiat and voting fix.
Utopian fiat and floating pigs.
The still on cap, you read, let me pull it up. All of the cards up to the planning economy fails, right?
No, I skipped the war card, C4.
Alright, so,
And then I also skipped laundry list at the bottom.
alright, sounds good.
Yeah.
You read balance plan.
Sorry.
You read balance.
Yes, I did. And I also read the central planning part.
Yep. Prep sets now. 604 left. Just let me sign the doc. To and C has been sent. When everyone is ready for an order, I'll give it. It will be cap, advantage counterplan, advantage 1, 2.
I got it, let me download it.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Ryan, good. Capitalism comes to existential warming plus value class. In the highest roasted known as frequent drug, the capitalism comes to existential research worse. In the other words, a causal linear gene acid species 1 is found recovered when the Africans the least of consequences, and indications 1 events no use for gains, and resting itself in restrictions Africa, response capitalism bad T-shells over 2, critical caution to debate agile socialists, and documents advantage for 1, 10 years of also for the law announcements level, no transmission of development for replace the target expression product space, under the full deal with the business also terms, private social growth, and how about wasting time policy, also better give a rush to the rule of government CDs, the current Russian extension, there's a function of president of household assumptions, issues for about 474, fairness able to get this way gap, and cultural links like cap consults, their office be as predictable cap count, and development topic, and fair prep, first let's be solve C, excuse, double speed, versus fairness, and judge by spirit D, yes, but like justification, reason why the office is a good idea, E, compromise of eval fairness and procedure, not all code 5, section, cost, eval, play focus, it's all case, system apologies calls for the former radical, and calls rates at bottom 6, you need plan focus for major premise, is cap bad, or minor premise is that organic development exemplifies it, so deductively, the plan is bad, it's easy to do both, 1 fabric hours for the effects justified, so is about capitalist justifications, 2, these are days, development, capitalist tries, privacy finish, geopolitical as opposed to articles, scramble for Africa, drop, key site, effective crisis, once the city keeps being posted upon data, so 2, because it's like a combination of missiles, organization, let's see each other that match, expression to see, especially for the all bands or the developers where to create effective science or intrinsic allows of conduct, and will make sure it's all like culture. Je shall be crossed for some nations, for the destiny, should have the control show twisty. Do you give me total of what you told me fiat floating pics here? No new of 50 years, so she and the cares of the African seems bad takes out Farmer 24. And the capitalist and terminal sustainable Smith, terrible as the same wise resource to gospel is wrong, never says, and you I'll show you or anything else, one I'll show you. Because it's in the company or for the manufacturing to raw materials extracted faster than employs 3 average return on investment. Declare for renewables and fossil fuels green transition is impossible for just parasitic researchers can't set ambition and efficiency gains. That's why it's a pre-paid 5 farmer profit song 24. Thus it's one of their process on the production. Let's start with cosmic health machine and access to the down across the river. Most of these capital short of it from the family worship pieces. Rest is allows much of whatever being I have also fossil of the crisis. Which means also how to start a profit finance and the city crisis champion. Animals versus 6 agriculture extinction number 23. Vegan will test says the community turns common soil, we should have side basis, but for us, it's common soil, it's a disease, that's all I'm such a scholarship. There's a biodiversity, but nuclear bombs are common goes over Thomas City Cost Welfare Selling, and fund FIR, cost extinction, and city building album 24. Listen to the conversation of the soul of the shade, and for certain center shade, as it is, it's all set up on the John Fair. After job motivation, like a pub, 3% jobs on the middle, 50% 2040. No such as sort of political cost, comes to try to drop my cost of the station. I say, celebration and destroy potential positive fire, the services, district agriculture. Most likely best ever Sunday says face over the measures. Let me decision make this as ever in years to transfer the years on standards acquired. This should be viewers to 2C3. I'll answer per other instances here. 1 supposedly answered that intrinsic that's good for all of our former conference learning that above is also per unit way. All of our comments increasing down 2C4. BND and Alsatian system words will hold the one against 2 answers. But 1 they all usually does the planning economy through federal policy, not a communist revolution Especially worst case, no American drive to high American to white. Let's see. Let's see. Let's just have public. Obviously, also see for one house to that culture so great. No worse than I love so much that right now. So she's over the box. You know, the place. The worst case, Jack special wells to 24. Let's go over to that winter name. What's that? 5,000 coins around 4,000 max. I'm going to say that's the end of the hour. Let's go over to Asian plan. Let's 24. The one worse than 90% of the so from the studio was surveyed so for 16. However, predicted free policies for block hours and OB. 3 versus 0 for 2C5, 2C4C and 5. The alternative is a planned economy succeeds. Yes, Bali, China, and Russia already. The Ministry of Research use Carl said code is terrible. Does this new computer planning enabled by AI but legacy calculations of the hand? Like Soviet engineers in the 50s, obviously have updated one algorithm essentially. Internal production protocol best in councils manage. Distribution has the edit to one groups of associate. One most of the line of the variable social support 10%. Then this would ever say myself was a change to a couple of organization. We're saying solidarity in correspondence going. Let's go for it and for it. One also go labor strikes. 3 social slow abuse. Very conversation called students here, but 2 million Apollo 40 of cricket. This one was going to self with the profile so public fact change 4. See number 1 so actually 16. Most of the times that we just for the average person across the same day wants to play. Most of us guys want to this is being construction fall down dash caravan. Cause good one night fucks with people's common laws off the understand value to negation theory. One of these for the alpha tells arbitrary free innovation says bad research. The best policies for Vegas checks bad plans out defense one of its utility. Adding more pieces of value to the liabilities use these and LC this is being highlighted framework case reject. This for one force first wants to come with role piece planes 2. Cancel facts 3 dictates blocking dash 1. Truth is the focus IBS is one of what makes you argue because Troy said worse to arguments was to know food worse than 5,000 prime. And showing what many now proves in conspiracy. This is a modern causal relationship with war, but it's a simple ideological differences. And polarization costly governance that's wasn't personal to all cause like political participation, like inertia, fast facing. Little bit of the called the aggressive law means all the saturation of the system of the was. It's more complex than the like pressure like complex any countries to show. One of the data is a first prediction that makes more complex and growth. Cause much consistency. The way parts of Trump is getting the record of the should make grants for others in the standards. Both that would have prior quality foods, having just are food, landing water, crystal cherries, similar instruction bar card. As the list direction in China House quotation reserves, same was to supply orders. 21. Then China Cable also apply for those to sale or releasing plus that shows there's an entry rate plus Trump is controlling prices this year. Food security mark card at food security now. 1C3 no ocean class is not scored descriptive. 1 quote. Conservation succeeds, so none of the evidence is predicted of future harms done by these companies, none have actually said that DSM has been done now, which is the thrust of the must be willing to pull to. Though the affirmative real efficiency are growing and stably rises, landed fuels are being used, and selling industry enables effective enforcement that's mostly better stock essential. External for the calculate to marine biodiesel is letting yield 17. This is just a lot of extinction. We really get extinction of the hospital for sure more than planning concept. The aspects of land extinction law, which are very bad response to care. These are actually one of the case we look at the worst of the same also the worst. The one some people and the one see for the officials one cross supply food security defense to countries don't go over war. Artificial other geopolitical motivations are bigger than one must prove. That countries have sufficient large motivation that's PSA, the worst case no scenario. Presidential officials and myth price 20. Management organization somebody is and then you said you can have this official system. Everywhere said as actually that increases to tax laws. If you're one of the news from the living part distance rate structure that kind of increase to size. Well then 20% caution limited now 1C5 no method bombs short explicitly. Take down this without to Asia, but just agriculture manufacturing mass all causes and thought method emissions. That was on the calculate climate one-side disasters will long-term data. So no increase in the number or so the very they overlook the bullseye effect that was burning even if there's zero impact is empirically denied by thousands in the past North Station or 20. That's a nice associate for the most of the station in the roll of ritual. That's such as her case or stories to shoot. Once you want to go goes can't solve or thought once hot dog confidence solutions, it could be failed Russian space, fashion the LDL Russia was proven. That is what the radiation of security guarantees transnational cooperation only lasts insofar as the threats are present and it's politically expedient for the US. That's back with Russia for the waters that they have never failed revised the LDL to democracy estimates by 1819. Significance of the market policy of social state course exercise. Marks the rest of our rates, all of our requests, all transmission to the US. Legend one of us was this and there's for this. Harvey is SOP for the rest of the option to really given. Some hard of something for how it since you major for mass. Managers good critics and that cuts able to challenges by the place. Most restless space company goals now 1C. Then to do 1C2 CIL fails motivation takes enforcement this on case to case basis. Technical services 1C needs all about CIL, including the ISA. Not just help with CIL, the 1AR will say score descriptive. That's not an answer to fight about structural barriers to find extent of limitation. And 2 is led by Ukraine trouble trying to press again. As answer and random antics.
You good?
3 seconds for top. Aaron, can you read this more batch card? Second image. 3 seconds. We have
601.
601. Thanks.
You
Yeah.
good? CapCase central planning. What does the government do?
So it's like a hybrid market system and like central planning, kind of like what China has, but instead of just like doing all the calculations done by hand like the Soviet Union and later Vietnam did, what we do is automate it via both computers and artificial intelligence, which NATO says recent technological breakthroughs have been allowing us to do more efficiently. NATO actually says that this resource allocation is more efficient in markets because normally markets fail in providing like healthcare, education,
These
etc.
automated breakthroughs, is this only about the planning of the economy, or is it about the actual like work done into it? Like,
I'm sorry, can you repeat
yeah,
that?
so like you said that you don't mind, correct?
Yeah, we don't know.
Okay, so like what does this tech regulate? Like what products does it?
No, we're saying like AI is being used in planning, like central planning, like these centralized supercomputers essentially that are enabled by artificial intelligence allow more information gathering, more efficient planning, and more efficient allocation than would be
Okay, efficient
possible in
allocation,
legacy
but
central planning.
like I guess my question is efficient allocation of what?
Resources.
Okay, what resources?
Like production quotas, heavy machinery,
What do you,
factory
like,
quotas.
What do you produce?
What do you produce?
Yes.
Everything that's produced in the economy right now, like
Wait, I'm confused. How do you
like
like
food,
produce?
housing.
Like how do you produce like gasoline?
Obviously, we like continue gasoline extraction for a little bit, but we drastically
Okay, so
whittle it
you
down.
do continue extraction.
Barely, like we don't authorize any new extraction. We just try to wean the United States off of its existing extraction. Because you can't wean the United States off and just like flip a switch. You have to do it.
No, I agree with
steadily.
that. I agree with
And
that.
increase
So
the
like,
cost
what's
of
the
all
bright
these
line? What's the
technologies,
bright line for
minimizing
what
emissions.
is temporary extraction?
Nader is talking about how these like computer planned systems will allow like redirection of resources. So like you can take away money
no,
from
I
like
understand
existing
that.
fossil fuel subsidies and invest in like clean energy instead. Like
Do you
the
mind?
most economically efficient way
Do
is
you
to
mind
just
for
like
minerals?
turn and
Do
flip
you
a
mind
switch.
for minerals?
Do you mind for minerals?
Yes.
Not in the Arctic.
Like do you anywhere?
Maybe existing mines in the continental
Maybe.
United
Wait. Okay.
States.
Okay. So you.
Well, like,
do
again, we redirect resources to where it's most environmentally sustainable, most economically efficient, and will produce the
Environmentally
greatest
sustainable is determined by technology. That's what you're saying.
No, we're saying that efficient central planning will allow more economic, efficient allocation of
And the way
resources.
in which that you do that is through this technology, the NITO evidence.
It's something that like amplifies central planning. It is something that's like
Okay.
huge per se.
So I guess then agriculture. What does central planning do for that? Like, what do you do?
It
Small
like
farms?
sets central production quotas. It like lets farmers know which crops are needed where, etc.
Center and cross. Understand the time.
Okay.
I need to use my phone. The order is advantage 2. It'll be that put the card in the doc as well. Proven stability DA, advantage counter plan, P3 counter plan, shutdown.
Advantage to proven stability.
I'm kicking advantage counter plan to P3 and shutdown.
Wait, so advantage to proven stability, what was after that?
Advantage counter plan and P3,
That's it.
and then shutdown.
Advantage, stability, power plan, or advantage power plan. P3 shutdown. Let me get the document, sorry.
Yeah, some more. Are you guys ready now?
Yeah.
Alright.
Seattle was born by structural confusion, America, 1880, Seattle, revolving problematic when rules are breached, Seattle, subsidy makes things unproven, non-observant, Seattle, ILL, intellectual property, most possible representative of universe, practice, the absurdity, obligation, Seattle, does not make a behavior, no lower back, Seattle, lasting person, prudent stability, they can see prudent surgically, Arctic doesn't matter, no offense here, advantage, counterplan, P3, counterplan, can see from just test competition, reach, please don't reject the argument, not the team, shut down DA. 281, readiness outweighs magnitude. The planet industrial base uncourse global nuclear war of every offensive power. The capitalize on our lack of conventional power and expand our sphere of influence. That's the place to do one. Shut down jeopardized aircraft maintenance, collapses the turn. That's Walker. Goes nuclear. Predator 23. NATO nuclear sharing the access to nuclear research. The access to the capacity of nuclear weapons. The expandable electromobility adventurism. Uncontrolled transition. The rest of the capable aircraft delivery. Baby breaks the bomb. S3 ice versus the carbon sure. Nuclear conveyor between US and allies. So they dropped it. Restrict field deflexibility. That's Walker. That solves WD. Christ response to terror extinction. Tips. Cost 60. Friend networks. Comments to disrupt nuclear global. Reach the global DOD. Deterrent. Defeat it. Non control of the WD. The rest will take the extra tour. The collaboration. The rapid development and even move the analogy of engineer working from over every day, complexity, flexible, must be developed. Also turns case 1, the link, losing DC events leaders from the escalating conflicts on 25. The leaders are going to rise aggressive policy, rather expand DC medical and medical DC, plus DC call for other parties, leaders on traffic of the company, the result of national television goals for the angles, leaders that have some surrounded, the goal nuclear medical 24, banks of Ukraine, Gaza, nuclear break on any time for the confidence, and one for the diplomatic back for the local, how much of that that means wherever rules for the terrorism, intermediate concern awards, spreading nuclear isolation, and it turns all their environments there because the government literally doesn't have the budget to implement any environmental programs or regulations. That means ships skyrocket, ocean pollution, factories spike methane, and there's no funding for natural disasters. Turns to governance and international relations there because no one trusts the US because it literally has no money to spend. 261 peace outweighs blood and unhardened. No, it doesn't. Gun check. Does the plan give the military the budget? No, shutdown or does allow the government to fund? No, shutdown turns international relations. For arguments above, 262 continue resolution passed now. Thune is passed already passed in the next vote. When he is ever planning on first succeeding. Meanwhile, Schumer's and College are open to negotiate over healthcare subsidies to end the stalemate. That's Lerman. Their card literally says nothing, just says Democrats are deliberating, but not that it would never pass. One Medicare versus Clean Sierra, turning 19. Shutdown to develop the Senate rejected proposals and not like to put it on us to 48 hours to prevent the Democrats use vote to restore Medicaid, can apply this geopolitical cave, you could break the 48 to 44. Democrats will weak this bill, the Republicans have not responded to entreaties to instead of use of leave Sherman, which would be looking for negotiating to result have to bring shutdown such as visiting Democratic leadership, Republicans signal they're willing to send a subsidy to threshold is low, freaking 19. Republicans are planning to overvote have to the Democrats and votes, Schumer, listed and which all things half with Democrats and Republicans that keep the government funding 3, even if Democrats are unhappy, okay, it have been said 916, Democrats are making development already waiting in political power, shutdown, the Republicans who wish shoulder blame, who wants an 80 after Schumer blocks the Sunny Bill, Republicans have already mandate, Schumer retreated, those are arguing over this bill is a terrible obstacle allowing Trump to take over power via shutdown. It's far worse. 23, the link. Oops, you can't go for the link, so you drop the Arctic link. Unexpected Arctic policies, the vote from the blue. There are enormous PC to drop promulgated reaches views obscure that's nucleus. Link controls the direction you use. These things if you're uncertain of CR passing vote from the blue, make it impossible. More words. One floor time. 19, the legislative process companies to become for eliminate every day of the vote of the night for other non-days time pressures to radio of deadlines to them hate mining policies specifically. Indict Sterling, turn Fisher 24. Republican majority set for the benefit of mining industry. Democrats and Republicans working to help the industry, the climate, the Democrats and those many activities, and the development of the loss of mining those out of house for 262 Democrats to build all the much power to companies, cut the credit companies, the school proofs that mining policy, political losers, 625. U.S. no shortage of minerals, challenge of mining policy, land over Charles of mineral lands and private investment impurities, the blocks of the missing parts of Sami countries, every disability to get efforts to rapid production will fall flight of commerce and come together to fight rationing of broken mind for many parts of the real and production also made those negative reducing barriers to mining investment, allowing system down. 2C4 group winners when a PC big the plan bridges will keep legislature. The plan is unpopular and cost capital that is supposed to trump the criticism of the issues that directly weakens how we negotiate wins favor and view. Judgment 21 the Western is more difficult and can already coalition other revolts that would have essential value gets credit that surge behind the PC other problems still posted for self pay welfare review. Even if PC regeneration takes a lie on my help, but only later after reconciliation when it doesn't obviate the PCS limits with divisions overwhelm wins. Actually skip down consensus agree PC exists fires 20 numbers of additional conversations that are present after rule honeymoon issues like the business and also aware of our capitulated previous after winning his ability to make it through unpopular struggle the budget proposals acted on empirics proof Trump would Republican votes for tax credits 65 past shutdown swamp it was a blip and hard to track after flow previous shutdown swamp is wrong because adversaries have now evolved that's the Walker evidence 66 Trump destroyed evidence is wrong he revitalized the hegemony Mullen and Percy in 180 rules based order German more ill than good wisdom as American democracy Trump the phrase rules based formulation for our Russian hand of policy they never really provides Israel with violation of the law the versus sending universal company the red club system Chinese the rules based over Russia global South United opposition rules based concede cut the card I can see finally 287 no readiness impact in hedge no hedge impact one crossplay the overview here 2 generic hedge defense isn't responsive give external impacts like above like miscalc and assurances doesn't assume breakdown from shutdown as well also indict their defense here because Mueller still agrees they containment and we should do containment and deterrence effort and it's also 4 years old inserted below Air 3 Air neg on sensitivity shutdown restriction signal weakness on adversaries to closely monitor domestic policy and process Walker declining defense capacity stars in World War III branch working for industrial base in China Russia Iran and proxy regional dominance against Ukraine Ukraine proxy habits that are ready to recover against conflict violence over Ukraine the war nuclear diversion is bound to balance shift Taiwan is the bigger appetite push the US out of fighting but over to support outside their flowing partnership this and cooperation against such as American Iran North Korea
720, sorry.
Cut the card real quick.
is advantage 1. Advantage 2, the capitalism fatigue. The shutdown is
1-2 top shutdown.
It is set. Everybody's good then?
Yep.
Alright, cool.
Method related to the extinction of the gas cause of hydromagnetic accidents, fracturing the seabed, fire, triggering landslides, tsunamis, and massive methane exhibits, spikes, 10 by 7 times 2 degrees Celsius, collapsing food systems, running earth, and habitable fast, rocky melts, already triggering explosions, no adaptation is possible once it starts to at least others for iron, or is relevant. If the wind is arrested, if the wind is arrested, then it's not really true, but they dropped every single war. Now, fission collapse over, goes nuclear, that's clear, but overfishing, global warming, arctic disruption, the collapse of aquatic protein change, triggering research, national black power, market piracy, and military, as fishing over these fish wars are in theory already brewing. In South Philippine, China Sea, West Africa, and Arctic, drawn into Nebulous scarcity. Those types of causes triggering regression and escalating full spectrum war prices about pre-conflict over fish. I did that above. Food insecurity drives conflict. Sulfur sugar,
Skip it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go to the second advantage. Conceding governments and hedge means no impact of the shutdown. There's no way for anything to get funding. And political moves make them build debt. CILs, the CIL has existential risk or threat. And means the ideas on external cyber AI and nuclear warfare and level absent. A cooperative response to Chromosome Hagani is wrong about non-maritime rights. Isn't assumed 30 years later is rejected structural because the job numbers of the supposed various Dugard is also human rights isn't applied to a mining operation that countries have an invested interest in. The plan straight turns vacant. Trump's XO does not decline by its intention to win the CIL, but the plan does destroy this data versus the I say regulations. Now Cafe. Growth sustainable 1, decoupling is subject to having an urbanization, our data spices them, storing and projectile fast enough, slowing clear and high set 2, ingenuity, substitution, and recycling, make sure it's obsolete, 3, scale back, improves the overuse of research, will just use less without damaging growth. That's Smith. Now, first is offshoring, 1 is wrong, its insertion just says that imports with drop out data statistics proving points that warming is improving, 2 is raw materials, just says that we use more, but drops recycling, and the card that says that we can't be replaced. 3 is energy return, improving technology solves that was above, but mining solves because it makes renewable energy infrastructure easier. 4, you have insurance is wrong. Novel intentions bypass financial cycles only applies to efficiency improvements. Existing tech renewables that are distinct, they don't require more resources and more generous emission. That's Smith. 5 is profit is doomsday. It doesn't assume improving technology that plus does the sustainability times other ways. This card doesn't highlight impact. 6 is industrial agriculture. It can see the impact. The offense for us on food wars. B, sulfur solves. The C, CIO solves. Every other risk outline. 7, Albert's wrong. 1, structural release systems that solve every type of shock. Governance. 8, complex have developed responses through the years of iterative attempts. That's Smith. Now the all fails. 1 is crackdown. Trumpian is weaponized to get the alternative anti-capitalist revolution. It's a grew 2 is concept of the economic collapse, reduces risk aversion, individualism, the prevents the transition, loxing extinction, the loxing capitalism. That's day. All causes protection wars, countries maintaining in resource migration in order to maintain quality of life, which turns all kills law. Smith. Growth solves war. 1 is cost trade incentivized violence. Has the loss of the wealth from war to cause the irrational to improve prevent 2 centuries where no great powers started wars with each other. 2 anti-civilization. People flock to commercial and specific sectors because of profit, that which the cases they just second innovation. That's Smith. At worst part of the book also solves residual offense double line. They explain all we get new answers. Now tradition fails. 1 is growth. 2 deeply ingrained in global governance. Key crisis comes to over meeting offshore and inevitable that makes warming insolvable and domestic backslash desirable. That's callous and it ensures that the backslash you directly attack those physically and ideological advantage of the enemy society. Only market policies can ensure the cooperation combated by empirical failure of every degrowth movement ever and collapse innovation ensures the extinction from food wars and planetary risks. That's Smith. Either ways, double line. Green economies rely on green infrastructure, which necessitates minerals, which means they can't solve. 1 and crosses is pretty clear. They don't mine, or they do, and they link back to warming because the link is about exploitation. Bounce back is worse for the environment, and then Antonatus 22 2. Christmas, the ritual of this expect of loving, and available to you, after the practice of morning experience, the great large day, safety and mission, the increase of visual extraction, and images around the birthday, from the person of the person in path events, ensure possibly locking the social, so cool 29. That's the person of the apple and every cups of the song of the exit, access, lossing, and back, and insurance, and on the last side, last side, shut down this app. Plans popular 1 jobs, days of great thousands of them, national and industrial left, and United World Class, high-tech class 2, China dominates ISA, and actively weaponized the Cook Islands, the other expand control, that means Congress defaults plastic money is essential to counter Beijing's influence, Three's momentum, the TMC is already moving to the USA and started like IMR already filing an application, US offshoring mapping with codes on a wave of offshoring toward now first. The first part from 2019 is about the plan 2 is official, it's about a mining bill that knocks taxes for mining companies, doesn't mean it hate mining broadly. 3, China chases about oil, not REMs. 4, states is solved by foreign subsidiaries funding the DSM is limited by partisan or 22 or 21. Important securities of life, REs, regulators, market development, whatever matter requiring to manufacture for American security, cut out American security, PC stake, 1 Trump, growing existing from the political who follows by making sweeping lapses failing and then regretting our consequence. He floods the news cycle with the cost of provocations that very accountability means losses never translate to reduce influence, choose supporters, and their support, his voters do not care, it's simple as defiance, construction. By the way, the card's talking about Trump.
601 starts now.
So on cap, the broke solves war. What was the card you cited for that? What was the card you cited for that? Broke solves war.
however, will be the shutdown descent, the cap K, 1, 2. Shutdown,
Yep.
cap, 1, 2. Peninsula good?
Yeah.
Ryan good? Perfect. Awesome. There's no way to when Peninsula has made so many technical concessions, and they've dropped her case in multiple impacts, which means he's trying to drive negative and creating his cross sideways. In terms of case, in terms of Beijing and Moscow, there's been situations over Taiwan, the South China Sea, and Baltics, like American nations like the Air Force cyber and space domains falter. Let's try to drive American forces out. They know they can beat the US goes through for that. For past week, conceding no hydrogen pact does not get them out of this deep hole. Readiness is in hydrogen against constant maintenance space China, and Russia will not continue to fit this worst case. We never read hydrogen defense just like the LA has already fractured. Non-American and German dropped Air Force in Pancova, shutdown imposed. Their gun maintenance making deployments impossible, jeopardizes F-35's continuing nuclear strength, greenlighting Russian invasions and existential. Walker players fast, their perception shutdown causes program cuts, and maintenance delays and jeopardize American capabilities. You can only die once. Intermediate average cushion structural impacts. Some must away controls deduction turns case. Also dropped. Linked alone turns the case. Political capital trades off. With opponents making leadership so hawkish, advises to boost their own credibility, diplomatic backers, cap nuclear escalation of recurring no Taiwan, Venezuela, and Palestine. That's brilliant. It also makes every single environmental policy impossible. This government shutdown makes impossible to engage with over the EPA over trees, like in close, with shorter circuits in case of instantly double that means a massive ignorance into their office and no ignorance into our office. Since you're truly attack our truth, you must pull the trigger negative, strike off any nutrient answers now. Uniqueness, continue resolution passing down Democrats and Republicans led by Goodness Schumer. Constant negotiation table to jam through the Senate before October 1st next day. That's freaking out and team not only debate the budget, barely passing down. Democrats hold firm while Trump and Johnson try to whip the rest of the GOP to line. Republicans are committed, but they can only afford to lose a few votes. Drop the unexpected other policies of both of the Blue Dot cause massive PCC jack, which Nichols also dropped that for Trump is guaranteed this operates entirely independent of political capital because it's about the physical time. Troy cannot get a PC fake even if he goes for GS unpopular. It's 100% risk of life versus mitigated risk of the lane term because there's all the high times and evidence. This immediate passage to the app coupled with deadlines pushes the CR physically off the docket now prefer jogging costs outweigh because it double jogged and no winners win. Every day we have the most problem with that. It's not office for that be not to win, winners win, which means the point is so acquired species to pass ensures all the impacts extended, and they already also draw for time, which is unabove. They also draw this shutdown towards the environment. This government has no funding now. They're choosing evidence for too early and super vague, all of which politicians support. One evidence has also worked way too early for specific evidence. Official specific assistant Democrats came by policy for seeing as appeasing energy lobby second chases as school approves of my policy is a political loser. Only our evidence in 2025 now. PC is still the real group of all here because only our adjusted evidence was not indicted and dropped in the 1 ER. That's supposed to says that wins straight from people, but defeats are forever will forever march towards political capital and consensus agrees because only our virus evidence is the gold standard that cites multiple meta-analyses of many different studies that correlate presidential approval with political capital and whether the Congress case or not. Now, Cap. Casino, in fact, there's no offenses, so there's nothing that's cross-applicable in that. Advantage 1. Once you find no method bombs, Troy did not do anything here, so even if case is very high, the dissent certainly turns and drives into this agriculture, manufacturing mass oil process, and Trump method emissions, worst case, the dissent turns, so there is no avatar dying to drive the various terrible talking about concrete scenario where DSM operations clarify natural gas, but they never said that existing operations actually operate the scope, which is a clear threshold set up in the 2SC and they dropped in 1 year. Now we're doing worse than finance, like the Prime Minister only dropped multiple large lists of impacts that had many also percent food scarcity. It's not the monocle solution with more business and ideological differences as personal also dropped. That China intervenes and provides potash reserves on the international market to stabilize the food supply. No new tourists is now no fish works classify the food security defense dropped. Second, countries are going to war with fish because other geopolitical motivations drive it instead. That was all the ones who piece of evidence or worst case existing fishing management results because there are regulations over how much individual people can fish. There's all the price evidence also dropped. Yeah, shoot. Globally going stance on itself is not a head-to-head defense, but LAO defense because top-down combat solutions feel as all the West and back evidence because of any scope of negotiation. Fraction was flashed by Russia's invasion of Ukraine while Trump proves his voice for net on security guarantees, also bureaucracy decimates it as all the minor evidence. These pulsing fairness in legislatures, courts, and execs fail negotiation. International law especially in a Trump 2.0 era. He doesn't want to engage in any multilateral institutions which essentially caps the effectiveness of applying standing on one instance. Advantage 1. Climate will cause health disasters, loss of nations, no increase in the number or severity over like the bullseye effect, which increased surface area does all the burden evidence and also denied that there's a critical impact. Back on Advantage 2. Standing fails, strong detonation takes enforcement concerns and serious measures on a case-by-case basis. That concerns as always the key cross-apply our visions and suffer with love. The one-year of the score district is not applicable.
Do you guys have to remember understanding it?
212.
212.
To shutdown.
Physiological triggers bring power war over efficient warming and RTC's ability to destroy aquatic protein chains, sparking scarcity and violent competitions fast because it already happened in the South China Sea, West Africa, and the Arctic, meaning that the impact alone goes drop, and you should perform historicity, food supplies, to collapsing cost states, to militarize coastlines, weaponize EC disputes, and escalate to piracy blockades, direct clashes, the internal goes drop, which means that you know that escalation is fast, states are drawn immediately because global fish stocks underpin the diet of billions that kills us all through chemical, biological, and nuclear warfare. That's all the crib evidence. Now I'll go through each piece of their evidence. First, they think that they have a killer piece of evidence. They think they have a killer piece of evidence through their meta-analysis of geopolitical motivations. This does not apply because we talked about how resource nationalism uniquely drives people to the brink through the SES and geopolitical hotspots, which is not the same as empirical trends in the past, where there were other geopolitical motivations. This one is purely about fish stocks that are declining within the Arctic, which drives Russia and China to attack each other. That causes a fast nuclear war, which which definitely acts as part of their time frame impact analysis. Now, they also read the Bryce evidence, but it's also wrong because drop that's about pre-conflict uniqueness and not about everything, all the fishing afterwards. Also not about fishing afterwards because of environmental pollution from deep sea mining. It means that countries perceive that they have to securitize and access their fish stocks to ensure that they have coastlines and proper food for them. Now, also the methane impact is tried to solve for seabed reservoirs build up, gradual sequestration and capacities on the brink, and threatens to release massive methane bubbles at any moment. That's the light evidence. It's only the plant also creates exploration necessary for regulation building, which allows companies to safely navigate and prevent methane explosion. Now, all the framing issues that all of their solvency takeouts are specifically about the CRIB evidence, which is about unregulated DSM, but not about the status quo, which is what the light evidence is about how Arctic methane hydrates will explode absent the alleviation of pressure via deep sea mining, which means that it will happen fast in 2025. That's the light evidence, which explicitly says that destabilization could happen anytime it's on the brink now, because it's been growing now. The existing operations aren't in the Arctic, which means that it wouldn't have triggered it, but also it wouldn't have triggered it, and they don't access it because it's not about funding, but about the status quo. Now, advantage 2, the extension fundamentally wins this debate because Seattle caps every existential threat, including hegemony. It means systems are not external: cyber, AI, disease, and nuclear warfare, and an inevitable absent and cooperative response. That's the proof of evidence. The impact goes double drop from solvency, and only have to win solvency. That means every single terminal to the dissent, any minute risk of the first advantage, or any minute risk of the first advantage is automatic affirmative valid, because the second advantage takes up the risk of the dissent case by case. It's all wrong because the only cards they have are Hakimi and Dugard, which don't talk about international law in maritime affairs at all, which is distinct because it's about vested interest within mining, and our countries have adhered to it for 30 years, which means if there's any perception that we can solve this, it's an automatic outfall. Also, I'll extend the defense here. It's not LO defense because the card explicitly said bureaucracy made hegemony impossible by creating political coups that make it impossible to ensure funding for hegemony and power distribution broadly, which means that they definitely cannot solve. There's no coming back from it because there's only a one-liner in the tuner that said that. Now now Shutdown. I'll go for Plan Popular. I'm going for Plan Popular. The link. There's two links here, which you should view this through two links. First is the PC link, which we definitely solved by creating jobs. DSM creates thousands of them in different industries. It's national industrial lift that unites the working and high-tech class. Remember, the fight that they talked about is about funding versus healthcare, which means the Republicans would perceive the plan as a reason why they get funding through the industrial booths, and gives them a reason to allow for healthcare benefits, which means that would create the political capital necessary for Trump to pass the plan. Also, China dominates the ICAs, actively weaponizes the compliance deals to expand control. That means Congress defaults to passing money because it's essential to counter Beijing's influence. Third, it's momentum. CMC is moving up to the U.S. and starts like I am already filing applications to U.S. offshore mapping one coast on a wave of growing support. Remember, we're not conceding the internal. The internal is true. They said it's the key thing. They said that it's the key thing that politicians know how to do, and PC is real. And Trump's political capital is empirically being able to flip votes, which means that if people perceive that he is willing to invest in economic expansion, it means that he's willing to pass for healthcare benefits. Now, also the floor time, they rejected it, wasn't dropped. It was answered by the fact that it really has nothing to do with any bill within Congress or after the appellate from 2019. It's about legislative processes, which they said are uniquely solved through Trump's political capital on the internal. So if we win the plan, revitalize it through political capital, we win the round. Now, you have no idea how the plan, you have no idea how the plan specifically flips it. You have no idea why floor time is uniquely key, because they said that Democrats are willing to negotiate and they only need Republicans to do so, which means if we create the political capital necessary for that to happen, Trump can convince Republicans to negotiate.